So, some of you know about Joe Rogan, right? And when I walked into the office yesterday, we were getting ready for the church service. I was told by, I believe, my producer and or Hake that Joe Rogan apologized for using the quote unquote N word years ago or whenever he did it. And when I heard that he had apologized for that, I was stunned. Really. It takes a lot to stun me, but I was stunned. I was stunned. I was like, what? Why? Why did he apologize for something that black people can care less about? The so-called N-word, right? They use it all the time on each other, and they could care less about that word. They'll even call white people that sometimes. And I'm so sick and tired of white people apologizing for words because the weak people are pretending to be hurt by words because they're trying to manipulate you for money and fake power. That's the only reason they do it. If they knew that they could not get anything from white people, material things, whether it's get into white schools or take white people jobs or get money and so-called power, they would not use that word. But they know that white people are going to fold under that when they bring up that one word. And I'm like, what happened? And they said some black woman, and I have it coming up for you, put out a video saying that Joe Rogan had used that word. And so I saw it this morning. Nick showed it to me. Some black woman with bad hair, nappy hair everywhere. She need to be combing her hair. But when I do play it, if you listen carefully, it's about money. It ain't about racism. It ain't about the N-word. It's about money. And you're going to hear her say that. Really. Everything is about money. And they know white people have the money and white people are going to give it away to them because words mean too much to them. They're so affected by one, maybe now two words, racism and the so-called N-word. I wish you could get into black skin for a minute and hang out amongst the blacks and they don't know you're white. You'll see how much they use that word. They use both of those words like 90 going north. Really. I wish you could get over that, white folks. So, and the reason I wish it, because it will make black people have to depend on themselves. They won't be getting reparations and affirmative actions, and you won't have to lower the standard by taking away SAT scores and no tests and all that crap and let them fly planes or air traffic controllers without knowing what they're doing. They will have to rely on themselves, and there's nothing like doing that. It's so unfair to the blacks that you cater to them. They're only getting worse. Smoke on it. You're letting them into the white school. What do? They destroy the schools. You let them into jobs. What do? They destroy the jobs. They don't make them better. Into government. Look how out of control government is now. Look at that dumb, empty Camilla Harris. Nothing going on. That woman don't know how to make anything work. She doesn't know. Because she's getting it because she's black. And now Joe Biden is considering a black female for judge of the U.S. Supreme Court. She doesn't have to be qualified. She just has to be black. They don't even want a black male there. And they clearly are discriminating against the whites. White people are not going to say anything because they don't want to be called racist. This woman, if she's allowed to get in there because of her color, She's going to destroy the U.S. Supreme Court. It's over. Abortion, everything else will come to the forefront like nothing going on. Because the blacks don't have to earn it anymore. That's not good. Even when you're raising children. My grandparents and my parents made us work. They made us responsible. And we didn't mind working because that's all we knew, right? They didn't say you got to go to college to survive. Because we worked. And black people were working and taking care of themselves prior to the civil rights movement. Had that continued, blacks would be assets in America in a way like it'll be amazing. Really. So this attack on Joe Rogan is about, this woman's supposed to have been on, I guess he had a so-called show on Spotify, and she pulled her show. Good rhythm, bye. You know what I mean? I'm sick of black people doing this, and I'm sick of white people being afraid. You should love the blacks enough to say no. Once you start saying no, what are they going to do? Just think about that. When you say no, I'm not giving you anything. No, I don't care what you call me. What will they do after that? Just think about it. Because they're going to see that the words don't work anymore. That all of a sudden, white people are not afraid of that word. What the? I was talking to Chris about it yesterday, that this is why white people have to start, conservatives, Christians, conservatives have to start creating their own stuff too. You're as smart as a white liberal. And I say white liberal because the blacks are not creating anything. It's the white liberals who control things. You know what I mean? And white people, conservative people, need to create their own stuff too. That way you don't be relying on them for everything. When people know that you rely on them, as soon as they get angry, they take away their stuff from you, or they try to control you with it. Start thinking for yourself. Joe Rogan should have never apologized for that. Not one iota. God said if you offend someone, you go to that person, apologize, and be done. He didn't say you got to go and apologize to the world. What the? And because Joe Rogan apologized for something that really doesn't mean anything at all, the so-called N-word, I believe he's out now. I believe he will have to leave Spotify because he showed weakness. Now, I don't know if Spotify made him do that. I'm not, I'm not behind the scenes, so I don't know. And unless they told him to do that, then he's out. If he did that on his own, he's out. And even if Spotify made him do that, it's still over because these people, they want money. They're not going to stop. Fox is reporting that 100+ Rogan podcast episode removed from Spotify. That's a weakness. And when people detect weakness in you, you give them energy to control you. You give them energy to control you. They look for a weakness. Weak people look for a weakness in you. And Joe Rogan, I don't know how it happened. Again, I don't know if Spotify told him to do it, or he decided to do it to appease the people. Either way, he gave them a process of strength to destroy him. Evil loved destroying. So it worked overtime to destroy you from within and to destroy others from without. You got to see, folks, that this is a spiritual battle. It's not physical. Wake up. Wake up. I hope that Joe Rogan is able to hang in there because somebody needs to send a message. I'm not running anymore. I remember years ago, I used to have my radio show. I started out on radio, and I was hired by, or I was on this network, on a network, and it was a Christian network. And one day the discussion came up about God being, or Jesus being God. Some caller called in and asked me, some uh, caller called in and asked me, did I believe Jesus was God? And I said, no, I don't believe that. Jesus is the Son of God. God is God, Jesus, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit, the Holy Spirit. All came from God, and God working through all, but they were not God. And all hell broke loose. You think the N word would bring out all hell broke loose. I was surprised because I didn't know. I don't think I knew at the time that so many Bible thumping Christians believed that Jesus was God, right? I didn't know that. And the show was growing. It was very popular, probably the most popular show on their network, at least if not number one, number two for sure. And all hell broke loose. And the owner of the network, the manager, maybe the manager, he met with me and he wanted me to change my mind or at least change what I said because he was getting a lot of pressure, right, from the Bible thumpers. And they told me that they would want me to go back the next day and say that Jesus is God. And they said, because we really like your show, we are planning to do big things with your show. Your show is amazing. And we want to do big things with it, right? I said, but I can't say that Jesus is God. I don't believe that. They said, well, if you don't say Jesus is God, we're going to have to let you go. I said, really? How can you force me to say something that I don't believe? They said, but the people mad, at least a lot of them calling in. It seemed to be the people who disagree that call in the most, and those who agree don't respond, so it seemed one-sided. It would make it look like most people believe that. And so they said, well, if you don't say it, Jesse, we really like your show. We want to put a lot into it. So I said, well, I can't say that. Then they're like, well, if you don't say it, we're going to let you go. I'm like, okay, you just have to let me go then, because I don't believe Jesus is God. Jesus is the Son of the Father. And so I stayed on for a few more days, and they let me go. But I couldn't change my mind over money or over having a show, because I see that Jesus is the Son of God. Can you imagine that? I have to pretend I believe something else. What would God say if and when I get to the pearly gates, that white pearly gate up there? And I ring the bell, and he send out one of his angels, and the angel come and he asks, Jesse, are you Jesse Peterson? I'm like, yeah. Are you the one that had the show on the Christian network, and they told you that you need to change your mind about Jesus being God, that you need to say Jesus God, and you did it? I would say, yeah, I did it. Why'd you do it? I don't know, because I want to be on the network. They're like, okay, you got to go down. You're not coming up here, buddy. How could you denounce Jesus being the Son of God just before a few pennies at a radio show? I couldn't do it, folks. I don't know how I act with any situation until it comes, but I could not do it. That was like years ago when I first started out, when I first started Bond. And then there was another network, Christian station I was on in Inglewood, California. And it was a Christian station. And I was talking about how Jesse Jackson and all these people are using the blacks and the preachers and everyone. And I said to the preachers, I said to the folks on the show, y'all got to stop listening to these people. You got to think for yourself. These people are lying to you. They're using you. They're controlling you. I'm on a Christian network, right? I'm doing the air bubble sign. And I'm thinking, and so the phone's lit up. And I'm thinking, wow, the blacks are catching on. Especially Bible thumpers, right? These are Bible thumpers. And lo and behold, they were calling me the N-word and everything. And the manager of that station, the owner, got so many threats from these people because they couldn't get to me. They had to try to get to him, and I believe he was a Jewish guy. If he wasn't Jewish, he was white for sure. It used to be hard for me to tell a Jew between a white. I'm a little bit better at it now sometimes. Sometimes Nick dressed like a Jewish guy. He looked Jewish, the anchor baby. Nick, look at Fox right now. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, too late. Don't worry about it. Just some more black people. Okay, just some more black people stealing stuff, breaking into the stores. But so I went on this network and people were calling, and so they start threatening the owner. We're gonna kill your family. We're gonna blow up the tower. And the owner tried to hang in there. He really hung in there for a long time because he really liked my show, and a lot of people liked the show. And finally, he said, I can't take no more. These people threatening me and my family. They're going to go up and blow up the tower and everything. And these were Bible thumper Christians. Think about that. Bible thumper Christians. So I've been throwing off 2 networks over the last 31 years of running my nonprofit, Bond, the Brotherhood Organization of a New Destiny. We've been rebuilding a family by rebuilding a man for 31 years. And I've been throwing off 2 networks. But how can you turn away from what you know is right, you see is right, just because someone has threatened to throw you off somewhere? So this thing back to Joe Rogan, I don't know what happened behind the scene. But because Joe Rogan is there so far, the enemies of good, those who hate, those who have anger, they're not going to be satisfied until they get him off. And then if they can't get him off, they'll try other things. But it's time to stand strong. It's time to be an individual. It's time to be what's right and stand with what is right. God is with you. How else would you know that God is with you if you run from every situation, from name calling and threats and things like that? How would you know God is with you if you're on the run? How can God help you when you show no faith in him? You have faith in Satan. That's why you're running. Evil is your God. That's why you're running. When will you stop worshiping evil? And so I was stunned that Joe Rogan apologized for that. It didn't help. Wow. We're at the bottom of the hour already. It did not help. When I come back, I'm going to play you a soundbite from Joe Rogan and this whole mess that's going on right now. Our battle is between good and evil. It's not physical. Even when it's coming through others, it's still evil or good. Back in a moment. Really, folks, it's time to get over words. Even in my beta state, we were taught sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never harm me. Anytime you are affected by words, the enemy of God will go after you when they know that you're affected by words. They are affected by words, so they just assume you are too. And white people, please stop running from that word. Put your feet down. At some point, if all of you white people put your feet down to that word, these black people fade away. They will have to go and do for themselves because they see they can't manipulate you and get your stuff for free. They're not making your stuff better. They make it worse. I can see it. No, I still can't see it. But at least if they were getting your stuff and they were building on it, making it better, even then you shouldn't just give them things without earning it. But they'll destroy your country. This is your country, and you invited them in. You invited them in. They didn't build America. That's a lie that black people built America. No, they didn't. And the Indians didn't build it. White people founded America. That's why we have White History Month. July is White History Month. And July just feels white. Because we got to remember and not forget who founded and created the greatest country on this side of heaven by the grace of God. And they call it a Christian country. And now you just laying down afraid of words. All ego. That's all that is. The ego is afraid to lose its identity. And you're doing that. So here's here's a report. Joe Rogan has been under fire lately after several quote-unquote artists pledged to remove their music from Spotify in protest of the streaming service for allowing Rogan's show to be on, claiming that the podcast host is spreading COVID misinformation by having certain guests on. How about freedom of speech in America? Remember when that used to be so nice? When I first started out, I was on different radio and TV shows and debating different liberals. And some of them had degrees and some didn't. And that guy sleeping or what? And some didn't. But it was debates going on until the conservative hosts became afraid too. And they stopped black conservatives from being on their shows because they couldn't handle the pushback either. So last week, a compilation of Rogan's saying the N-word on the show went viral. This is from Good Morning America. Watch this.
New trouble for popular podcaster Joe Rogan. He is apologizing this morning over past use of a racial slur. This as another artist asked Spotify to remove music in protest. ABC's Zareen Shaw has more. Good morning, Zareen.
Good morning, Eva. We cannot even tell you the first letter of the word that Joe Rogan once repeatedly used. That is how bad it is. The star podcaster now coming under even greater scrutiny. This morning, Spotify reportedly removing over 70 episodes of the Joe Rogan Experience from their platform. This comes as the embattled podcaster is now apologizing for what he says is a regretful and shameful use of a racial slur multiple times over several years on his show. Rogan's use of the racial slur resurfacing after R&B singer India Arie posted a compilation spanning several years on Instagram.
You know,
saying the word you've already said is just like saying.
Arie protesting Rogan's language, requesting Spotify remove her music.
My hope is that some of my artist friends would follow and come along with me. Because one of the hashtags I put on my post was, what if we all leave?
There is absolutely no circumstance that a white person should be using that racial slur, period.
Spotify has faced growing pressure over Rogan's show. Artists like Joni Mitchell and Neil Young taking down their recordings over Rogan spreading COVID misinformation.
Amazing. So the reporter said, it was so bad, I can't even say the first letter of the word. It sounds like mama died or something, you know? And she's so hurt, she can't even say mama died. Now, isn't that ridiculous? She couldn't even say the letter of the N-word. Well, she couldn't say N-word. It's just so hurtful. If anybody believe that drama, you got some serious issues inside of you. None of those people that you just saw in that report can care less about that word. They're going after Joe Rogan. That's what it's all about. And that black woman that put it out, she's a loser. Nobody knows who she is. They know who Joe Rogan is, but not her. She tried to get attention and money. I got proof about the money thing. Here's the woman that put the video out, and I want you. She need to be at home combing her head. All that nappy hair flying everywhere. And watch how she mentioned the money. That's what this is about, folks. It's always been about that. When you caved into the so-called civil rights leaders, you said to them, okay, we're going to give you our stuff. And it has never stopped. White people said way back then, with this phony, fake civil rights movement, this thing would be over with already. Then your children wouldn't have to go through this. There would be no critical race theory in classrooms. There would be no black people lowering the standards so they can, white people lowering the standards so black people can get into their schools. We wouldn't have all these crazy radical black males and females in our government, police departments and DAs and all that kind of stuff. But you didn't say no back then. And now your children are suffering for it. Here's this woman, listen about the money. The video was put out by a singer, somebody named India Ari. She joined the artists removing their music on Spotify and explained her reason on Instagram last week. Pay attention to the money. Go ahead.
Hey y'all, I want to leave a short message here about why I decided to ask my music be pulled off of Spotify. I empathize with the people who are leaving for the COVID disinformation reasons, and I think that they should. I also think that Joe Rogan has the right to say what he wants to say, so we know how social media can be. Things can be doctored, people are taken out of context. It's happened to me many times. However, I want to be clear, in no uncertain terms, where I stand on this is that he shouldn't even be uttering the word. Don't even say it under any context. Don't say it. So you take this money that's generated over here and you use it to invest in this guy? Do what you want, but take me off or pay me too.
See?
And I don't just mean me, I mean us, artists like me, pay us too.
See, it's the money.
Pay podcasters of color too.
It's about the money. I'll rest my case. And maybe when she get the money, she'll get a hot comb and straighten her hair out. But whatever she need it for, apparently she's not doing that well. But it's about the money. White people, it's not about race. They're lying to you. It's about the money. She just said it. Now, if you gave her the money, she'll stay. And Joe Rogan can say whatever he wants to say. Believe me. It's about the money. How come y'all can't see that? Oh, I know why. I'm asking a question I already know the answer to, right? You're letting your country go behind that kind of mess, not admitting it's about the money and the fake power. If you gave her the money, some of Joe Rogan's money, behind the scenes money, she'll stay and she won't go. I'm staying and you gonna pay me. Money. That's what it's about. If you don't see that, you're smoking too much pot. Last but not least, here's Joe Rogan, where he issued an apology on Saturday after the compilation went viral. Watch this.
Hello, friends. I'm making this video to talk about the most regretful and shameful thing that I've ever had to talk about publicly. There's a video that's out that's a compilation of me saying the N-word. It's a video that's made of clips taken out of context of me of 12 years of conversations on my podcast, and it's all smushed together, and it looks horrible, even to me. Now, I know that to most people, there's no context where a white person is ever allowed to say that word, never mind publicly on a podcast. And I agree with that now. I haven't said it in years, but for a long time, when I would bring that word up, like if it would come up in conversation, instead of saying the N word, I would just say the word. I thought as long as it was in context, people would understand what I was doing. It's a very unusual word, but it's not my word to use. I'm well aware of that now, but for years I used it in that manner. I never used it to be racist because I'm not racist, but whenever you're in a situation where you have to say, I'm not racist, you fucked up. And I clearly have fucked up. There's nothing I can do to take that back. I wish I could. Obviously, that's not possible. I do hope that, if anything, that this can be a teachable moment. Because I never thought it would ever be taken out of context and put in a video like that. And now that it is, holy shit, it looks bad. And there's another clip that I have to address. There's a clip from 11 years ago. I was telling a story on the podcast about how me and my friend Tommy and his girlfriend, we got really high. We were in Philadelphia, and we went to go see Planet of the Apes. And we didn't know where we were going. We just got dropped off by a cab, and we got dropped off in this all-black neighborhood. And I was trying to make the story entertaining, and I said, we got out, and it was like we were in Africa. It's like we were in Planet of the Apes.
I know what you mean.
I did not, nor would I ever say that black people are apes, but it sure fucking sounded like that.
How many people haven't said that, black or white, or thought that? When you get dropped off in the hood, you're going to say, oh my God, I'm in the hood. And you try to get out of the hood, right? And who owned the word that they can, white people can literally say out loud, I'm not allowed to use that word. White people can never, ever, it's use that word. That doesn't make sense to even say that. Nobody owns words. No one owns a word. And to tell the blacks that white people can never say that word. They don't own it. So they can never, ever, ever, ever say it. You're telling them you got me. If I said you can come and take my stuff. Because you just said they own the word. Are they going to make black comedians and others apologize for using that word or the word that they call white people, cracker? Are they going to start making black people do that too? Rogan would repeat stand-up from people like Richard Pryor, who would say the N-word during his act. Richard Pryor said it all the time. A lot of those so-called black comedians use that word. Nobody owned that word. That word, look how crazy things are in our country because you've allowed the black people to, and they use it for everything now. Everything. They throw that out, they know they got you. You're going to back down. Joe Rogan, when I am watching that right now, it almost made me a little sad to see a grown man cower down behind a word, knowing the reality of it. That black comedian, black, everybody use it. And now they're claiming that the black people own the word. It's getting worse, it's not getting better. What a sad way to live. Well, it's time to return to the Father so you could be of love, perfect love. And perfect love casts out all this fear and mess that you're living. It's amazing. The borders are, I mean, everybody and their mama flowing into the borders illegally. All kinds of people, gang members and everything. I heard that on Fox's, I don't know the whole story, right? So that the border patrols have made or is making some type of deal with the drug lords. I think that's what they call them, to work out where they can drop off these people because it's so out of control, and this government won't do anything about it. You got to overcome fear. Fear is the nature of Satan. Fear is the nature of Satan. And anyone who has fear, you're worshiping evil. Evil is your God, even if you're saying that it's not, but you have fear, evil is your God. Satan is your daddy. That's just reality. In God, there is no fear. Once you're truly, truly born of the Father, you overcome fear. Perfect love casts out fear. It's hard to live in a world like this and have fear. You won't survive. You will not survive. But it's up to you. It's sad to see white people do this. It really is. Especially with the men. I can see the women being afraid because evil comes through the woman, so she's going to have fear until she overcomes too by forgiving her mother, return to the Father, right? But the man should not have fear. And I know he has it too because he has the nature of a woman. He's been recreated in his mother's image. And the only reason blacks are pretending that they care about their words when white people say it is because they want something from the whites. They want money. They want to get into your schools. They want to take your job. They want power over you. That's the only reason they say you can't use the N-word. Because they see that you were given to. There's no other reason. They want something from the white, and lo and behold, they're getting it. And they're going to use it generation after generation after generation after generation. Even when they completely turn America into South Africa, they're going to still be using that word because they hate you. And they know you're afraid. They know you're afraid. You're on the run. Evil live off the fear in the person that has the anger, and it lives off intimidating you. Black people don't care about that word, folks. If they cared about that word, they would stop using it first. And and the word would disappear. Everything starts with self. Everything starts with self. It starts with you. Amazing. And don't forget to like, follow, tweet, subscribe, and share the JLP Peterson radio show, folks. We really appreciate it. We are at war. It is a spiritual battle for the soul of America. And it's going to take all of us to do it.